Greetings from the Erie Coast. This is Mad Shad, and this is another episode of the Zoot Report, Sunroof Edition. Let's go. It is currently 94 degrees here in Northeast Ohio. It's gonna get hot. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot all week. It's gonna be hot all week, into the weekend, into the next weekend. It's gonna be hot. So how do you plan to stay cool? Oh, well, a lot of folks are gonna say, I'm gonna stay in the air conditioning. All right, crank up the air conditioning to 68 degrees, whatever. Which I advise against that. You know, anything over 80 is good. Right? You acclimatize your body to it. I mean, I like 68 degrees. That's why I like fall and winter, but your AC is not built for that. You know, that just destroys your AC. Anyway, I've learned a lot from the engineer. Yeah, stay in the AC. Drink tasty beverages that are chilled to 50-something degrees. Right? Eat some popsicles. Don't go outside. Run a fan. Run a ceiling fan. Shit like that, you know? So picture, if you will, all week and into the next week, it's in the 90s, the hundreds, and there's no power. Yeah. Now what? Now what are you gonna do? What if you say, oh, you know, I'm just gonna go where there's power? What if this is a global thing, right? I don't know. They talked about it. I'm using it as a training aid, as a scenario-based discussion. What if there is no power for 9 days? You know what I mean? No power. Well, there's some of us that have you know, solar panels and solar generators. Some of us have gasoline or diesel generators. Shit like that. Is that enough to power your whole house? You ever tried to run an AC unit on a on a freaking solar generator? You can't. It's impossible. Totally different system. Totally different setup. I mean, I remember in the early 2000s. Right? I was thinking about getting into the whole solar power game. Yeah, I'm gonna be a technician installing solar into a house. There's a lot that goes into it. Holy shit. I remember beforehand you had to buy all appliances and refrigerator, everything had to be a certain wiring, had to be because you can't run it off of 220 or 440. It has to be like 12 volt or 9 volt or something. Air conditioning? Ha! Forget about it. Although they do make some interesting little low power air conditioners, which are pretty cool. day, they designed houses for airflow. That's why you would see like a back door, what they call shotgun houses, right? The back door and the front door were directly in line with each other. And you just open those two, and you get this literally cow induction. Or you could go to a window, open a door, or open a big window or a door, an exterior door, prop it open, open up a window in a room, and literally open and close the interior door to move the air. It's called liquid thermodynamics. It's what I use in my truck. I learned this from watching some physics girl on YouTube. And it works. It works for houses too. I use it in houses, in apartments, if I know I'm gonna hear it. Burn the bacon. That's right. If I burn the bacon, smoke has inundated the house. I literally use thermal liquid dynamics to get the smoke out of the house. But it works. It does work. Cow induction works. Of course I have to get gas. So, houses of old were designed that way to let air flow in. And you could also do like the swamp cooler thing. Have a large bucket of water by the intake of the window where wind is blowing in, is getting sucked in, and it comes across the water and actually cools the air. But who in this day and age is going to open all their doors and windows? I mean, that's what people did back in the day. Shotgun house. Yeah, it was hot, but you get some airflow and you don't even notice it. Like, yeah, that's cool. It's all good. People, we have relied on air conditioning and creature comforts for so long that we can't do without it. We cannot do without it. We rely on power generated from another area, sold to us. They figured out a way to sell it, figured out a way to regulate it, measure it, how much we use. There you go. They get to charge us. So if 9 days or a week, 2 weeks, a month, man, imagine a month without power. The whole world, the whole United States. I think they estimated 95% of the population would die. It would be horrible. It would spark. It would spark the purge. It really would. There would be so much chaos and pandemonium, people dying, susceptible to heat. And people would take to the streets. It'd be crazy. It would be nuts. It would be the purge. It would. But I think after that, dies down, literally, people will come to their senses, right? Start figuring shit out. Like, well, power's not coming on anytime soon, so we gotta figure this shit out. How to generate power. I mean, but then they would realize that turning off the switch was done on purpose. Then what? I mean, if Purge 2.0 happens here all across the country, this great nation would burn. And outside actors would start to come in, which they're already here. They'll start wreaking havoc and setting up areas, start seizing land. Our military, our military is still a viable force without power, as long as they have. They'll have to eat MREs. Everybody in the military would have to eat MREs. You don't need power to run guns. You do need fuel. They'd have to manually pump their fuel, deplete our strategic reserves. They do have backup generators and shit like that, so they'd be using those, running more fuel. Solar power is just not, it's not it. It's not it. Solar power, solar and wind are only good for like a little bit and in perfect ideal conditions. Otherwise, it's horrible. It doesn't provide enough power. I think they did a calculation that basically every square inch of unused portion of land would have to have solar power, a solar panel, and a wind turbine going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to provide the amount of power that we're used to. Millions, 340 plus million people rely on massive power generation that cannot be matched by wind or solar. Well, the idea too would be like, hey, well, we need more nuclear reactors. They run off of power. They actually draw power. I guess they could, create their own power, but then their output is not as great. So what they do is they actually draw power from the grid to run all the necessary systems to create power. Until we find that 0 point energy, thing, which we haven't, and if anybody has, it's a closely guarded secret, right? And trust me when I say this, if somebody had figured it out already, like Tesla or our government or whatever, it would have leaked out a long time ago. And it would have been common knowledge. Because somebody in that program would go, you know what, I'm going to run my house on this 0 point energy. I'm going to run my car on this. And people are going to take notice and go, wait a minute. You haven't bought gas in 5 years, yet your car runs perfectly. You haven't paid your electricity bill in 5 years. Electricity company's gonna be like, what's going on here? We need to condemn your building because you're not using power. But what's your secret? People are gonna take notice. So, I mean, even if he was tied to the grid, he would be using so much of a minute amount, it would raise some eyebrows. So yeah, if somebody figured it out, even our government, even one of these, like, you know, secret black ops, that shit would have been out already. That's how it works. It gets leaked. It gets shared. It gets sold. It gets stolen. That's sold. So, you know, there's no secret that stays a secret for long. But right now, the way that we generate power through steam, basically through steam, running turbines, massive turbines, and how we heat that water. You know, we use coal, we use propane, we use nuclear power. I mean, there you go. To run these massive turbines, Hoover Dam, you know, generate water flow at a massive amount, massive scale to turn these massive turbines in gyros. Hope they don't deplete the dam water so they can continue it. They hope there's not a drought. You know, it's a major system with a lot of moving parts that have to work perfectly or there's no power. Dedicated individuals working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the whole lifetime of the power generating plant. People have to go to school for this shit. It's, you know, it's not like just me or you just walk in and go, oh yeah, I can run this. Yeah, I got this. Yeah, I've got a theoretical degree in physics. You have a degree in physics? I got a theoretical degree in physics. It's theoretical. Get it? I have a theoretical degree in engineering. It would, I mean, and that's the idea, right? You know, the EOs would love that. Reset, the great reset, right? Shut down power. They've already done it a few times. You know, just as like a virtual signaling thing. They did it in Paris. They did it just about everywhere. A day or two or something like that. Just to create a little terror. Just to scare everybody, you know. Do like some kind of spell. But then, you know, the alerts come through and the teams show up and they're like, let's get to work. Let's fix this shit. Grab the wrenches. Grab the tools. Let's get to work. We get paid the big bucks for. Who the hell turned off the power? Ah, you see how they turned off the power? Yeah. All right, fire that guy. Arrest him. Put somebody else in. Make sure power doesn't go off. And you know, we've talked for decades about hardening our grid. Our grid. I mean, yeah, we enjoy this freedom and we enjoy this, you know, the modern creature comforts, you know, of modernity, modern day society. I shouldn't know. Modernity is another thing, but you know, the George Jetson days. We enjoy this because there's a trust system. That social contract is in play. Nobody wants to go destroy a relay station or something like, or cut wires, because we like our power. We like our homes, we like our apartments to be cool, warm. We like our refrigerators to run, right? Even the bad actors do too. Now, would they try? Yeah, and they have. We've had a few instances where, people were attacking relay stations, shooting at them. Idea meaning that if they shot some transformers, all the coolant went down, spilled out, then it would overheat and bam, right? Shorting out the relay station, shooting at it, creating some kind of failure in the system so that the power, the grid goes out. It's the only hardening that we have is people with guns guarding it, which they do their job, right? There is a small degree of security at these power plants, and some of the big ones, and generate a lot of power. But that goes to big relay stations that sit out in the middle of nowhere with just a fence around it. There you go. Some of them don't have fences. Some of them are just a bunch of large infrastructure out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's watching it. No cameras on it. Every now and then, some maintenance tech comes by and checks some numbers, gets some readings, maybe tweaks something here or there. That's it. We don't have guards walking around these little substations. There's none of that going on. So yeah, it's pretty vulnerable. And there's been literally activists, lobbyists. I know for a fact George Norrie and his group, they've been talking about it for decades. Hardening the grid. Harden that shit. Bury it in the ground. We love these wires just strung up there all over the damn place. We're still running wires like it's the 1800s. I mean, really. And the rest of the world does too, Now, is our system the best? One of the best, I'd say. It's not the best. You got places like Finland and Sweden, and you don't see all these damn stupid wires everywhere and telephone. Every now and then you do, but they bury everything. Of course, they have winters and howling winds that knock everything down that's standing, especially wires and telephone poles, power poles. So they learn through trial and error to go ahead and just bury that shit in concrete with enough sensors and monitors that can, sensors everywhere that can monitor where a failure is, and they can just go and fix it or bypass it. So yeah, we're pretty propped up here. We are. We've got propped up, written all over our forehead. But would it be easy? No, it wouldn't be easy. It would have to take a coordinated effort to literally shut down our whole power grid. And it would have to be a destructive means. They've tried over and over again trying to hack. There's redundancy systems. There's intranets. There's shit like that. There's manual stuff going on. So, they'd have to infiltrate, get on hand, or be destructive from a distance away, which means they would need some kind of HE. An EMP detonated high enough in the air, maybe 2, maybe 3 of them, a nuclear bomb, low yield radiation, but creates a massive EMP, would knock out most of our grid, theoretically, because it's never been tried. You can't really test an EMP. It's just, we don't have the power. We don't have that electromagnetic pulse power to be able to, you know, the only thing we can do is get it up high enough and then scale it up through calculations. But we really don't know what an EMP would do. We really don't know. We know a CME is pretty damn powerful. So, you know, a CME from the sun could literally fry everything. Sure. And nobody really knows the chances or odds of that. Even if we've seen it coming, you know, I think it's however long it takes to get to the Earth would be minutes. So and who would tell us? I mean, yeah, there's dedicated people watching the skies, watching for these things, but us just regular folk, us peasants around here, no, everything be fried. We would find out too late that there was a CME or an EMP. It wouldn't have time to prepare. You know, wouldn't have time to, you know, harden our stuff, put everything in a Faraday cage, you know, lock our vehicles in a garage, a Faraday garage or whatever. I mean, you know, we just wouldn't have time. But I really think that, like an EMP and whatever, I think that we would be surprised of what actually works. We would be surprised. It would be like, wow, the EMP didn't affect it. What? That's cool. Ugh, I gotta get gas. But I do want to carry on this conversation, so you're probably gonna live in my shirt as I pump gas here and talk shit. Everybody's gonna be looking at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care. Alrighty then, I have. Boom. Cool. Alright, let's see how I can do this here. Yeah. There we go. Oh wow, this thing's hot. That's not a good thing. And you know what? I don't know if this thing's gonna cut off on me or not. That's the other thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Idiot. I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. I parked in the wrong spot. Oh, the gas can is on the other side. Let's see if I can do this before anybody else gets it. Oh, crap. Alright, I guess I just move over here. Yeah. Yep. Boom. Alright, problem solved. I don't know, can you hear me? I guess you can. Yeah. Gotta figure out a way to do this. I know how we do this. Yeah. I just carry. Yeah. So, yeah, bear with me as I get my gas cap off. Yeah. There we go. I wonder if I can do all this one-handed. I don't know. Yeah, amazing. What? Oh man, come on. I picked a pump that doesn't work. Damn. Of course I did. Yeah, how about this? Yeah. So yeah, power. 9 days. No power. 9 days. Wow. That'd be rough. That would be rough. You know, you would have some creature comforts. Your car, right? Your vehicle. People would be spending a lot of time in their vehicles with the AC on. Yeah. A lot of businesses would be shut down. Most businesses would be shut down. I think so. Your gas pumps wouldn't work. You'd have to manually pump gas. So it would be wouldn't lie 9 days. Think about it. So not only would it stop power, it would also stop fuel, stop water. All the systems that we rely on uses power. There'd be fuel in the ground that we couldn't get. There'd be fuel in tanks that we couldn't get. I mean, I guess there would be like there'd be some propane and things like that, but you know, diesel, gasoline. These pumps don't work if there's no power. You might be able to figure out a way to manually pump it. I mean, that's how we did it in the beginning. But they still required power, electricity. I don't know. I see a lot of problems coming from this. I do. Just to shut off the electricity for 9 days. Talk about a great reset. And who would be the hero? Oh, we're working as diligently as we can to find a solution to the problem. Just please stand by. We know it's hard. We know it sucks. Just bear with us. Go to your dry ice cooling stations. Here's a great idea. We have cooling stations in the FEMA camps. Come on down to the FEMA camps. We have enough power just to run 1 square block. So everybody move to 1 square block. We can cool you down there. Bring only what you can carry in a backpack. Leave the rest. Don't worry, we'll feed you. MREs. Yeah, it would definitely give them a reason to start doing their thing too. You know, well, we got to cut down on all this power, generation. And, it's just unreliable. But the data centers need all the power. That's why. I mean, I don't know how they would spin it, but who knows? it would be interesting to say the least. But I also think about the innovations too. How many people would come up with, their own little power generators, ran off the creek well, ran off the creek or something, saying that it just, or they got their own little wind turbine that they made. They got their own hamster wheel. Everybody spends 15 minutes on a bicycle generating power. I don't know. For what? For what? I mean, electricity it was a Pandora's box that was let out and then just tightly controlled by large, corporate conglomerates that swear they have our best interests in heart. Yet they make millions. Oh my God, millions. And they lie and they cheat and they it's amazing. So what would that look like for them? It would be horrible. But they would be the saviors if they got it all working again. So it would have to be something. What would be the reason, right? The lie would have to be so big. You'd have to say like aliens did it or something. Or it was a terrorist attack or something. But then we would still find out it wasn't. We would find out that they literally just turned the switch off. Then we'd start questioning why. But hey, they're so great at lying and concealing the truth. We wouldn't know what to believe, would we? You really wouldn't know. Yeah. And after a few months or so, we would absolutely forget about it. And everything would be back to the new normal. Imagine that. The new normal. What would that look like? Would we even care? I mean, things would be so bad. Millions of people would die. They estimate 95% of people would die. 95%. Damn. That's crazy. So anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I mean, it's interesting to say the least. It's interesting to entertain such notions. It really is. It's entertaining. I don't know. I think we would be. I don't think it would happen, but it might. It would be funny if it did. Oh wow, so and so was right. Ugh. Yeah. That would be wild. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that thought, something to think about.
This has been Man Shad with another episode of the Zoot Report, Sunroof Edition. Skull.